Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Kerrville Weekly News Roundup, hosted by the Texas Hill Country Podcast Network. We are your co-hosts and founders of the Texas Hill Country Podcast Network. Myself, Andrew Gay, Gilbert Pies, Tom Fox, all here in the studio with me. We're going to go over our top picks for news stories for this week, third week in March. So let's jump right to it. Good afternoon, gentlemen. How we doing?
Hey, Andrew.
Great.
Good to see y'all. Glad to be back here for another week in March. Things are warming up, but who wants to kick us off? Tom, you want to do the honors there?
Sure. So my favorite story of the week was the brouhaha about the Johnny Manziel statue. The Kerrville School Board, at least, is in discussions or was in discussions about putting a statue in front of Tivy Football Stadium honoring Johnny Manziel, the only Heisman Trophy winner who went to Tivy High School to date. And the motion
today.
Yeah, the motion was tabled, and there was a fair amount of discussion, but I think the real reason is they're afraid of what he's going to do next. And he has a somewhat checkered past. He's made some mistakes. He's been open about those mistakes. But I think the real reason is they're just afraid he'll do something else and embarrass Tivy High School and Kerrville Independent School District. I'm an outside observer to this, so kind of seeing that debate. Of course, they didn't say that; they had a lot of other reasons. But and his mother was in the audience, so they couldn't exactly trash him in front of her. But he won a Heisman Trophy. He had one of the greatest freshman college seasons of all time. He won the Heisman as a true freshman. He certainly deserved it. He did go to Tivy High School and apparently was a star at Tivy, although I'd never heard of him before he went to Texas A&M. And, I made mistakes when I was 18. And I continue to make them thereafter. And maybe some forgiveness is due. And you're not putting up a statue to his character. You're putting up a statue to what he did, winning the Heisman Trophy and playing football in Kerrville. And so I'm kind of the opinion that he deserves a statue for that. And putting it up in front of his high school stadium, he would be the first Heisman Trophy winner, as I understand it, to have a statue in front of his high school stadium. Now, lots of others have statues in front of their college stadiums. But I think that would be kind of cool. There was some debate about we don't want school funds to pay for it. Well, that's not even part of the equation. This is all private money that's going to pay for it. And that private money can be used any way those private individuals want to use the money. If they want to pay to have a statue of Johnny Manziel, I say, let them donate the money. It's not coming out of the school board's budget. They're not going to have to put a lot of security around it. It's just not going to cost the school district a lot of money. And so I'm sort of pro having the statue up. If you're worried about what he's going to do next based upon what he did before, there's lots of glass houses in the world.
Amen to that.
And I just think, I saw him play football. And for a brief shining moment, he was a fabulous football player. So that's sort of my first story. My second
Well, that's
story,
a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
You mentioned the weather. It has gotten beautiful here, and the bluebonnets are out. And this is not prime bluebonnet location for the state of Texas, but it's pretty darn good. So if you've got some time this weekend, go out, just drive on I-10, drive on the Junction Highway, drive to Center Point, drive out to Comfort, and enjoy our state flower, the bluebonnet. It is just beautiful.
Amen to that.
When we were driving around this past weekend with my folks looking for property, there were so many properties that just had blue bonnets all around them. So they really enjoyed that. I heard the Convention and Visitors Bureau hunts for them, sniffs them out and talks about where they're at and where they're blooming.
Leslie, yeah, they keep a list.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Well, bluebonnets, of course, are part of my favorite flowers because it's part of our logo for our other business.
That's right.
And bluebonnets and Indian paintbrushes. It's pretty nice.
All right, Gilbert, what do you got for us?
All right, I got two stories. One question I had for Tom, though, on the Johnny Manziel thing is, would you donate some money to the statue? You don't have to answer. That was just a question.
Hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em horns. You'd pay for a horn statue right next to it, huh? A bevo?
Bevo.
Maybe a bevo statue?
Bevo, man.
Okay. Well, the two stories I want to talk about today are economic development and municipal elections. Uh, there's been a lot of stories this past week about supposed banking crisis and the economy. And if you hear people in around town, man, there's a lot of stories and people just talking about how terrible things are. But I would submit to you that I think one of the things you need to think about is what is going on in our local community that's important. And if you look at some of the economic development that's going on right now, things are actually pretty doggone good in Kerrville. Unemployment rate's still pretty low. So if anybody in Kerrville wants a job or in Kerrville community wants a job, they can get one. There's a lot of economic development going on. If you have driven by the old high school slash old middle school on Cindy Baker, it's officially gone. It's completely gone now. And there's actually some talk about new projects that are coming there, and they're actually digging, and it looks like they're getting ready to maybe do some foundation type work over there. So not sure exactly what's going in there, but it's a mixed use development from the sign that they have out there. Some amazing things. That's a big piece of property that a lot of good stuff could happen. The other place to look at is if you've driven by Sidney Baker and Jefferson Street, there's a new development going in right there, a coffee shop. There's several new restaurants coming to town. Freddy's Frozen Custard is coming to the old Jack in the Box. We've got a Taco Bell. No, it's a KFC and
Taco
Bell combination. Yes, going in over there off of Junction Highway. We've got several new car washes, so there should be no excuse for anybody to have a dirty car in Kerrville. We've got one opening up across the road from us here on City Baker across the river. There's of course already several existing ones, and then one other development I want to mention to you, and it's not a secret anymore. Our friend Brian Bowers from Bank and Trust talked about it at the Economic Summit a couple of weeks ago. The Bank and Trust is a new bank here in town. They are opening they have a branch right now on Francisco Limos and Thompson, but they have recently purchased the property where the old Sears used to be, across from Whataburger on Junction Highway. They're going to knock that Sears location down, and they're going to make a new branch right there. So there's a lot of good, interesting things. Oh, and a new housing development is coming to town. According to the Express News, there was a developer out of Dallas that's coming to Kerrville that's interested in building some more apartments, more multifamily housing units, and some other retail space. And that was really, really good. So I would submit to you that there's a lot of positive economic things going on out there. And we need to just kind of focus on what's happening in our own little neck of the woods. And there's some good things happening. So I would stay tuned for a lot of that. Once we get some more details, we'll share them with you. But the other thing I wanted to mention today, I think is important, is municipal elections. If you haven't heard, if you live in Kerrville, in May, they're having city elections. And right now there's a interesting dialogue going on among the four candidates running for Kerrville City Council. There's place one and place two that are being that have candidates in them right now, and it's interesting. They're trying to out conservative each other, but I would submit that there's two candidates in particular that are really trying to show the other two candidates are not conservative enough, which
in a nonpartisan race.
In a nonpartisan race, and you look at those things and you say, listen, the city elections don't have D's or R's. They shouldn't have or don't need D's and R's behind them, because you're really not going to change things on a national level. You don't change marijuana laws on the local level. You don't change abortion laws on the local level, but you do pay for city streets, policemen, fire protection. You do pay for those types of things, and those things, of course, are extremely important if you live here locally and you want to participate. So I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. I'm only here to tell you that if you're not familiar with who the candidates are, you should really try, and you live in Kerrville, in the city, and you're eligible to vote in the city elections, you should really think about investigating who the four candidates are and why you should vote for one or the other, or at least two of them. Why you should do that. It's very, very important, because the people that sit on the city council direct how your local tax dollars are spent, or they participate anyway in directing how that's spent. So put your 2 cents worth in, find out who they are. I'll share the names with you at the very least. So if you run into them, you'll know who they are. Jeff Harris is one of the gentlemen that's running for city council. The other gentleman is Roman Garcia. He's the existing candidate. He's the existing city council member. Young man. He's done some interesting things. He's got some experience now under his belt. I think he's somebody that you should at least know who he is, because he's, even if he doesn't sit on city council for very long, he's going places. He's got a lot of good things going for him. The other two people, a lady named Barbara Dool Ferguson. You might have seen all of their signs out there somewhere. And then finally, we've got
Lang.
Lane
Guerrero.
Guerrero. Is it Lang or Lane? Lane.
Lang.
Like, passing
It's got a
lane?
G in there. No.
Lang.
Lang.
Lang. Okay, Lang Guerrero. He's also running for city council. Interesting guy. I think all four of those people would probably be well qualified, but because you have a choice, you should at least investigate all four of those people and decide who you think is going to be best for the city council. So strongly encourage you to think about it. We've got another month or so. Let me see, March, April, May. Well, we got almost 2 months to go for the city elections. So investigate those four names: Barbara Dool Ferguson, Roman Garcia, Jeff Harris, and Lang Guerrero.
Awesome stuff, Gilbert. And to bring us home real quick, my two mentions for news top picks for this week were, one was the Kerr County Sheriff's Office here has an investigator named Luke Flores, and just won an award for the top performing digital forensics investigator at the national level. And then my second news top pick for this week was County Judge Rob Kelly will chair a committee to help complete a study around the central corridor of I-10 that runs through Kerr County. Also joining him on that committee are Bradley Barnett from the Kerr Area Chamber of Commerce, Gil Salinas from the Kerr EDC, and Mike Hornes, he is the assistant city manager here in Kerrville. Judge Rob Kelly mentioned some of this at the Economic Summit a couple weeks ago that we were all attended. But this study in particular that they're looking at impacts a bunch of different angles around I-10 and the central corridor that runs through Kerr County. Things like mobility, congestion, safety, connectivity, operations, maintenance, asset preservation, truck parking, and other issues. And just a quick shout out to our friends over here at the Hill Country Community Journal. Both of the articles that I just mentioned were posted this week. The one about the sheriff's office and investigator Flores, as well as Judge Rob Kelly's committee that he's heading up around I-10, the I-10 study. Both of those can be found on the Hill Country Community Journal's website. And from my knowledge, it's not behind any kind of paywall or anything like that. And I think Mrs. Tammy Prout heads up some of that over there, and she does a wonderful job. So if you want to see more on either one of those of my mentions for the week, you can find the full articles there on their website. All right, to wrap us up officially, you guys got anything planned or exciting scheduled for the weekend?
Looking at houses.
That is exciting.
Looking at how? Seriously?
Looking at houses.
Okay, all right, nice. You got to tell me more about that later. If
with
you want to.
blue bonnets around them, right?
Absolutely.
There's plenty of that. I'm telling you.
Yeah, now might be a good time actually if you're in the housing market. Prices are coming down, and we've seen a lot more inventory. For myself, hopefully tomorrow, going to a volunteer appreciation luncheon. Andrew and I have done some volunteer work with one of our friends that runs Echo Hill Camp for Kids. It's a Gold Star camp for kids that have lost a parent or loved one in the military, and she runs a camp. One of our dear friends, Marcy Friedman, and we've volunteered out there a few times to help clean up things and get it ready for the campers. And they're having a volunteer appreciation lunch, so I hope to go out there on Saturday. It's in San Antonio. Looking forward to it.
And then finally, for myself, I would mention there is this event going on at the Arcadia tonight from Toby Appleton and Charlie Huber. They have it's their Together tour worldwide. Charlie and Toby, or Toby and Charlie worldwide. So there is no admission fee. It's free. It's at the Arcadia from 6 to 8 tonight. And they marketed it as a way to have a wildly mediocre time. And I think it's going to be fantastic. So
It's
they're
going to
be
be mediocre.
That's right. They're going to sit up there and play the guitar and tell some jokes. And I think it'll be a great time. Plus the Arcadia, this is a great opportunity for you to come check out the Arcadia if you have not previously, because there's no admission to get in. It's a wonderful space. They've done a great job renovating and really pushing its presence out into the community lately. So with that will wrap us up for the week. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me as always. Always a pleasure. And we will catch all of you guys back here next Friday. Thanks so much. We'll see you then.